Have you ever met someone, or something, that was just meant to be in your life? Not because it made sense, not because you were looking, but because your paths crossed at the exact moment you both needed saving. That's exactly what happened when Emma and Jake brought home a parrot named Gizmo. He wasn't just a rescue bird. He was a soul that had been forgotten, broken, and locked away for 16 long years. And yet, somehow, even after all that time, he still had something to say. The first thing Gizmo ever said to Emma was, "Not my face." She laughed out loud, even though she didn't fully understand what it meant. His voice was sharp, oddly expressive, almost like a person stuck inside a feathered body. Over the next few days, he repeated that phrase a lot. Sometimes with urgency, sometimes just for fun. But it was clear. Gizmo wasn't just mimicking. He was trying to communicate. And what he had to say would change everything. Before he found his way into their home, Gizmo had lived most of his life in a small, rusted cage. He was passed from owner to owner, treated more like a decoration than a living being. His feathers were dull. His eyes didn't sparkle. His movements were sluggish. When Emma saw him for the first time at the rescue center, he barely looked at her. But Jake leaned down and whispered, "He's just tired. Not broken." And that stuck with her. The first few days in their home were quiet. Gizmo didn't scream, didn't chirp, didn't demand attention. He just watched. From his perch, he observed everything. How Jake brewed his coffee, how Emma whispered to their dog, how the house came alive in the morning. And then, on the third day, he said, "Good morning. How are you?" Just like that. Softly, deliberately, as if trying to join in. Emma froze. "I'm okay," she replied. He tilted his head. "I'm okay. Oh, yes." They looked at each other, and in that moment, Emma realized this wasn't just a bird. Gizmo understood. Maybe not every word, maybe not the world around him, but he understood kindness, and he was responding to it. As weeks passed, Gizmo slowly started to come alive. He still couldn't fly. His wings had grown weak from decades of disuse. But he began exploring the floor, walking from room to room like a tiny feathered roommate. One day, Emma was in the kitchen when she heard a soft, "Hello," from behind her. She turned around and there he was, standing on the tile, staring up at her like, "Hey, what's cooking?" Gizmo developed a strange obsession with water. Every time Emma turned on the bathroom sink, he came running. If she left the door open, he'd be in there before her, standing on the counter, waiting. One day, without warning, he leapt into the sink midstream, wings flapping, water flying everywhere. He was soaked, shivering, and smiling. Jake panicked at first, but Emma started laughing. Gizmo wasn't scared. He was playing, like a kid who'd never seen a playground. They started placing a small perch in the shower for him. At first, Gizmo was hesitant. He'd approach it slowly, tap it with his claw, then retreat. But after watching Emma interact with it, touching it gently and showing him it was safe, he eventually climbed on. And when the water ran, he didn't flinch. He closed his eyes and let the droplets fall, shaking his feathers afterward like it was his own private spa day. It wasn't just adorable. It was healing. For him and for them. But more than his silly quirks, it was the way Gizmo connected with people that left everyone speechless. He could sense moods, read emotions. If Jake came home frustrated from work, Gizmo would quietly say, "It's okay. It's okay." If Emma was teary-eyed from an old movie, he'd mutter, "You're making me laugh," as if trying to cheer her up. And when guests visited, they'd all end up asking the same thing. "Are you sure he's just a parrot?" He followed them everywhere. He loved walks in the backyard in his little harness, chirping at birds, chewing on leaves. He had this way of looking at the world like everything was new. And in a way, it was. After 16 years in a cage, every day outside was a miracle. One morning, Jake was fixing breakfast when he felt a tiny tap on his ankle. He looked down to see Gizmo staring at him. "You hungry?" Jake asked. Gizmo nodded, and said, "Feed me." Jake laughed so hard he nearly dropped the eggs. The love they shared with Gizmo wasn't something they expected. It wasn't planned. But it filled their home in a way they didn't know was missing. He was hilarious, mischievous. He had his moods. But more than anything, he was a reminder that even after years of neglect, trust can still be built. Joy can still bloom. And hearts, even small feathered ones, can still find their way back to life. If you're ever considering bringing a rescue into your home, whether it's a dog, a cat, a parrot, know that you're not just saving them. They might end up saving you too. Gizmo's story isn't just about second chances. It's about resilience, connection, and the quiet power of showing up for someone when no one else did. Emma and Jake didn't just adopt a parrot. They gave a soul the space to heal. And in return, he brought more love, laughter, and chaos into their lives than they ever could have imagined. If Gizmo's story moved you, consider supporting your local animal rescue. Or even better, adopt. Open your home. Share your love. You never know whose life you might change, or who might change yours.